Welcome to Building Assets in Youth, where in just 10 minutes or less, you will gain easy to implement tools to help youth in your sphere of influence build assets. Assets allowing them to thrive when they can and struggle well when they need to. This series is brought to you by Discover You, who has been providing tools to build courage, confidence, and connection in youth for over 20 years. I'm your host, Beverly Wenzel, and I'm here to have some fun with you as we further explore a foundational concept in asset building known as character strengths. In our time together, you will explore building a strength-based culture and language and continue to support youth in leveraging their strengths. If you haven't had a chance to enjoy Season 1, Episodes 1 and 2, you may want to do so now, as there's information including in those that will help support you today. Character strengths are the positive attributes each of us possess, and we can rank our own by visiting viacharacter.org. And again, if you have not had a chance to take that survey, please do so now, as it will enrich our conversation together today. So I'd like to discuss first, high level, the 24 character strengths that VIA has identified. It starts with the virtue of wisdom and includes creativity, curiosity, judgment, love of learning, and perspective. Then we have the virtue of courage, which includes bravery and honesty, perseverance and zest. Humanity, which includes kindness and love and social intelligence. Justice, which includes fairness, leadership, and teamwork. Transcendence, which is appreciation of beauty and excellence, gratitude, hope, humor, and spirituality. And temperance, which includes forgiveness, humility, prudence, and self-regulation. So let's think about those values. How do we transfer this skill to youth? Well, I think we look into it like a strength mindset, a strength language, and strength spotting. So let's start with having a mindset around strengths. You're already developing a strength-based mindset because we're here having this conversation, and we're learning about how to share this asset building tool. Strengths will trump deficits almost every time. A focus on strengths in general helps us to be the best version of ourselves we can be. So when we have a mindset that goes first to what do we have, not what do we lack, you are developing that strength mindset. And by recognizing that we have to lead with strengths. Strengths focus helps us to move into the things that we need to do in life in a way that brings our best foot forward. And thank you for being on that path with us. Now, how about a strengths language? Well, we need to communicate a common language around strengths. So these include the values and skills and talents and knowledge that are strength-based resources that our young people have. We're looking deeply into the values and action and character strengths, but there are other strengths also available to our young people. We want to encourage our youth to take the survey, and we want to encourage them to talk about strengths and to look at their strengths first and to move away from that deficit or that mindset of lack. Youth get super pumped about learning their character strengths. In fact, usually once they learn them, they're very anxious to share them. The thing about character strengths is we all want to have a better understanding of ourselves. Now we're using a scientifically validated tool that we can actually build our future on and to help enhance our path. This is so much more than an online tool of what Disney princess am I. This is validated, it's real, and it's helpful to our young people. So they get excited about it. And one of the easiest ways we found to just help our young people to understand their strengths is to have them take that survey and then review it together. Talk about it. Have a simple conversation. You can ask questions that prompt thought and consideration. Things like, what are your top 5 strengths? Which ones resonate with you? Did any of them surprise you? How do you use those strengths? What are some new ways you could use your strengths? Are there lesser strengths that you would like to develop? This is how we develop a language of strengths with ourselves and with the young people around us. There's so many ways that you can work to increase student awareness of strengths. Once they've completed that Be a Character Strength survey, have them download it, keep them with it. Keep it with them. I love them to have a printed version of it if we're using it in certain classes. Help your students to set up goals that are based on their strengths. Talk about things like, if you want to achieve this goal, what strengths can you use to help you achieve the goal? And then how can you use them? So thinking about things like it might be difficult for them to practice on a regular basis to try out for a team because maybe they aren't very good at self-regulation, but they're very good at teamwork. So then they can bring up that strength of teamwork to help them then want to be part of that team and interact with the team. You can do things like have a strength of the week and talk about it amongst your young people. And maybe it's a strength that they have that they're high in. Maybe it's a middle strength that they want to use in a different way. Maybe it's a lesser strength that they want to develop. Maybe it's a conversation around how that lesser strength complements one of their signature strengths or superpowers. Use strengths when you're providing feedback. Think about how when you're talking to a young person, you can provide feedback to them through the language of strengths. You can do that to your class. You can talk about the strengths that a group has, or you can talk to them individually about their own personal strengths. I really encourage that you have a visual display of strengths in your space so that it becomes an easy reference. You can talk about strengths for problem solving. What strengths do they have that will help them solve a problem, whether it's with people or whether it's with a job they might be moving into or an assignment that they have or any kind of challenge that they're facing. Also think about how character strengths connect to behaviors. So the character strength of leadership is manifesting itself in what behaviors that a young person might be expressing, or words that they're saying, or things that they're hearing. You can think about having the young people create a representation of their strengths. They could use a poem, or a picture, or an essay, or a presentation. But think about different ways that a young person can then focus on their strengths and how they're using them, how they can celebrate the strengths that they're using in their lives. Now we can think about strength spotting too. So we're talking about developing strengths in our youth, but you know what? We're not always going to have a survey in front of us, and honestly, you don't need one. The thing about recognizing strengths in others is it doesn't even have to be a superpower strength or one of their top strengths to be able to point it out and have people take pride in recognizing that they're using a strength and that you're recognizing that they're using a strength. The thing about strengths is that's a language that when you recognize a strength someone else is using, it really lights them up because that's something that they can identify with, and that's a very honest characteristic of theirs and something that's empowering to them. So become familiar with strengths so you can recognize them in others. Look for the things that empower people or charge people or light them up. Does someone step quickly into a leadership role? Are they curious? Are they asking a lot of questions? Are they referring to fairness? Are they concerned that others are being included? Are they regularly expressing gratitude? Or what assignments do they volunteer for? Do they make really good team members? Think about the things that they shy away from. Do they avoid the details? Do they struggle when they have to connect to something on a deeper level that they're not necessarily comfortable with? Do they like to work independently? Do they have a hard time letting things go? When you get a chance, point out their strengths to them. So it's one thing to recognize strengths. It's another thing to share what you've noticed. So when you see someone demonstrating a strength, call it out and name it. It doesn't need to be that signature strength, and it will still be impactful to them. You can learn more about character strengths on beacharacter.org. And I'd like to challenge you today. Here's your Building Assets challenge. Practice spotting strengths in others and practice pointing out those strengths when you see them. So in our time together today, you explored building a strength-based culture and language and ways to continue supporting youth and leveraging their strengths. See you again as we continue to build assets in youth.